Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and so we're going to be doing some Mist Valley test hands. So I'm really excited for this one because this one's actually a Patreon request test hand video for Gloomba. So Gloomba actually asked me to build a Mist Valley deck for them, and this is super cool because Mist Valley is actually one of the very first hidden arsenal decks to ever be released. It's really cool the lore that's behind this deck, and I am really excited to show you guys this deck because it is super fun and it can do some crazy stuff. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell next so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards, like getting your name in every single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your patron, along with test stands, just like Gloomba did. And definitely give Gloomba some love down in the comments down below for requesting this awesome old school deck. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So this is a very interesting old school deck that basically revolves around using cards like Mist Valley Apex Avian to bounce cards back to your hand to give you a bunch of different negates against your opponent. It's a really interesting build as well because I've basically made this build to go into Auroradon, which is a really cool way to actually go about this. You can either go into Auroradon or go into a couple of different plays like with Smorg, and it's just an overall really good, interesting play. Now that is for the Auroradon, but there is some interesting cards that as you see me shuffle, you might see an old school card or two and go, wait, what's that for? Don't worry, I'll show you as we go. And definitely check out the deck profile down in the description below as well, because the deck profile is right down there if you guys want to see the full list of this particular build. It's pretty good. I like the way that it came out. It's very interesting. I wish Mist Valley had a little bit more support because the whole archetype actually only has about 15 to 16 cards in the whole archetype, and they haven't gotten support since the Hidden Arsenal set, which is a little bit unfortunate, but we do have Apex Avian, which is an insanely good card, and we do have a card called Mist Valley Thunderbird that's also pretty insane for this particular deck. So let's go ahead and see what we can do for a couple of test hands. So let's see. So we're going to go ahead and draw. We're going to draw into a Mist Condor, a copy of the red-haired hasty horse, Mist Valley Thunderbird, the barrier statue Stormwinds, and a big bang shot. So this is not that big of a deal for having this sort of hand. You really want to open up a tuner. It does help you out a little bit more, but you can still go into some pretty interesting plays with this particular hand. So for going first, you can just normal summon that barrier statue Stormwinds to kind of stall out your opponent a little bit if you just want to go that route. If you want to make it a very simple hand, if you want to go a little bit further, you can. Instead of going for this route, you can actually put 3 monsters on the field very easily to get you into a copy of your Smorg Link monster. It's very easy with this particular hand. You guys may not be looking at the Big Bang Shot and going, wait, why? It's for later. It's for another card in the deck to combo a 2-card combo with. So what you're going to do with this particular hand, if you don't want to just normal summon that card and shut down your opponent, because usually they're going to have to at least normal summon something and then do everything in main phase 2, which is going to buy you a turn, which could get you into a Reborn Tengu. I will show you guys that. What you can do is you can special summon that copy of the red-haired hasty horse to your side of the field. Then you can normal summon out your copy of your Mist Valley Thunderbird. And Mist Valley Thunderbird has the ability that when this card is returned to your hand, you immediately special summon it back to your field. You can then use your copy of your Mist Condor to special summon this card to your side of the field by returning a face-up Mist Valley you control to your hand. So you'll bounce the copy of Thunderbird, special summon the Condor, and then immediately bring back your copy of Mist Valley Thunderbird. Now you can go into some link plays. You don't have a tuner, unfortunately. If you had a tuner, you'd have full combo, because if this was a tuner monster, you could actually establish an infinite negate combo because you just go Needle Fiber and then special summon out a tuner monster, and then you would go into Apex Avian, and then you would get that card out as well to get out the copy of the Apex Avian on your side of the field with Smorg. But I'll show you guys that particular combo if we replace this card in just a second. So with this particular field, you can just go directly into the Smorg Link monster, which is probably the best bet, to just link all 3 of these away and go into the Smorg Link monster right here and then throw out the copy of the Apex Avian, because it requires 3 monsters to go into, so you can just immediately throw out your copy of your Apex Avian right about there on your side of the field, and it'll give you at least 1 negate. Or you can special summon out your copy of your barrier statue, a Stormwind to your side of the field. It kind of depends on what you want. Or just normal summon this card out. So let's go ahead and show you guys what it would do if you actually replaced this, and this would have been a tuner, because this hand is just too good not to show you that. So Let's go ahead and show you that really quick. So we're going to put all three of these monsters back on the field like we just special summoned them out the same way. The red-haired hasty horse can special summon itself as long as there's not a card in the same column. But let's go ahead and replace this card with, say, any card like a copy of Gen X Ally Birdman. Let's just say it's a Gen X Ally Birdman that we get in our hand. I'm just going to show you guys the really, really cool combo just for reference. So we're going to go ahead and add the copy of the Gen X Ally Birdman to hand. We're going to put that copy of Barrier Statue of Stormwinds back in the deck. It could have been any tuner that we could have special summoned to our field first, like a copy of the Doodle Doo. You could have special summoned that to your side of the field that we play in the deck. You could have had a copy of Unexpected Die. It really wouldn't have changed it if you would have drawn into any of the 7 cards, which is why I figure I would show this to you. So what you can do with this particular play is you can actually use this with a copy of your Mist Valley Thunderbird to bounce it back to hand, special summon this card, and then when this face-up card returns to the hand, you'd special summon it back. It's not once per turn, so you'd special summon this card back to your field. You then link these two away. Now this is, for instance, if you did have the tuner in your hand, you would go for a copy of Needle Fiber. Then once you summon the Needle Fiber, you'll special summon out from the deck the copy of the Shaman, which is one of the coolest looking cards in the entire deck. Then once you special summon out the copy of the Shaman, you can then link these two away, and since she's a winged beast, and you will go into the copy of the Smorglink here, pass against your opponent. When you pass against your opponent, you will actually throw out the copy of the Apex Avian that we had before on our side of the field to be able to go into those really, really awesome plays to give you an infinite negate combo, because you have the copy of the Thunderbird and you have the Apex Avian, so you can just return the Thunderbird to hand, and then you can return the copy of the Thunderbird over and over again, because this is once per chain, not once per turn, which is a pretty cool play. So as long as you open up basically the Thunderbird plus 2 monsters, that's a tuner and a non-tuner that you can get on the field, you can get this insanely cool board on your side of the field very, very, very easily. So let's go ahead and see what we can do for another test hand, and I'll show you guys really quickly the really cool thing of why you play Big Bang Shot and a super old school card called Swords of Revealing Light. So you guys might be looking at this and going, wait, why do you play those? Well, there's a really neat little card in this deck that you can actually throw in, and it works really well. And there's actually builds like this that you can actually just focus around Mist Valley Falcon, because what you do is basically this. If you have the copy of Mist Valley Falcon on your side of the field and you have a copy of Swords of Revealing Light, when you attack with the Mist Valley Falcon, it will actually bounce the copy of Swords back to your hand, and then during main phase 2, you can reactivate it, essentially having an infinite Swords of Revealing Light until your opponent pops this card to make it so your opponent can never attack you. Now, when comboed with a very cool card in this deck, like a copy of Barrier Statue of Stormwinds, where your opponent can't special summon anything but wind, if you're not playing a mirror match of wind versus wind, you're usually going to win, because if they can't out this card and you have the copy of Big Bang Shot as well, you can actually equip Big Bang Shot to an opponent's monster, and when this card leaves the field for any reason, it actually banishes the monster it was equipped to. So when you attack with the copy of Mist Valley Falcon, you equip this card to an opponent's monster during your main phase 1, and then attack, and then once you attack, you then can bounce this card back to hand, and it will banish the monster that it was equipped to, essentially turning Mist Valley Falcon into an attack and a banish at the same time that can reoccur over and over again. And if you do need to get him to 24, you can equip this card and it will give him piercing plus 2400 attack, so it'll go up to 2400 total because this boosts him up by 400, or you can get an infinite Swords of Revealing Light. There's also some other cards I didn't play in this particular build, like copies of Powerful Rebirth. That's another card that I did consider throwing in here, but I didn't end up putting it in here, just for reasons for there's not enough space. Like, this deck is a little bit tight as is, but it's a card that you can actually use to revive certain cards out of the graveyard. But I wanted a spot removal that I can just equip to an opponent's monster, plus a Swords Revealing Light, because I can actually bounce it back to hand to be able to give me infinite blocking from attacks, and you use that with Apex Avian combo with Thunderbird, and you essentially establish a field that your opponent can never out, because you have infinite negates, you have infinite making your opponent not be able to attack, and you just have this really, really crazy board. So let's go ahead and shuffle up the deck a little bit more, and we're going to go into another test hand. Again, if you get a tuner and a non-tuner, you get into really good plays. So we're going to go ahead and cut the deck really quick and see what we can do. So we're going to draw into a copy of Shaman. As long as we draw into a monster we can special summon at this point, we're fine. We draw into a copy of the Angel Trumpeter, Big Bang Shot, Metaverse, and a copy of Gen X Ally Birdman. Now we've drawn all tuners, but we don't have anything we can special summon, so you kind of just got to play around with it a little bit. So what you want to do with this particular hand is set the copy of Metaverse, because you're going to want to get to Divine Winds of Mist Valley, because you can actually go into your play the next turn and then set your copy of your Angel Trumpeter on your side of the field. So once we pass to our opponent, you don't have to go into all those crazy combos. It can be very simple. Your opponent is going to attack into this card, and then during end phase, you can actually activate the copy of Metaverse. Metaverse will grab your copy of your Divine Wind of Mist Valley, which is somewhere in here. I believe it's probably towards the top, isn't it? It's always at the top. You can always grab that card, and then once you grab that card, we're going to go ahead and activate that copy of Divine Wind of Mist Valley. When we go into our next turn, we'll probably have taken a little bit of damage, which is fine, and you draw into the Unexpected Die. So we're going to go ahead and activate Unexpected Die. You actually play 2 targets in this build for it. You actually play a single copy of Phantom Griffin, and you play a single copy of the Angel Trumpeter as well, because this is a tuner and this is a winged beast. So it helps you go into your plays that you really, really need to go into this deck. So we're just going to go ahead and special summon out the copy of Griffin. And then once we actually summon out the copy of Griffin, you can use the copy of the Divine Wind that once returned, if a wind monster you control returns to the hand, then you can special summon a level 4 or lower wind monster from your deck. Any wind monster. So we're going to go ahead and use the copy of our normal summon. We're just going to use our normal summon to summon out Shaman. Shaman is going to bounce back to hand, and we're going to summon our copy of Birdman. Now, Birdman's on the field. This card was bounced. This card will activate, and you can actually use the copy of your Divine Wind to actually bring out a copy of Thunderbird. Now you can actually go into some really neat plays in this particular deck where you get your Infinite Negate combo. So you're going to go ahead and link these 2 away, and once you link them away, you're going to go for Needle Fiber again. Needle Fiber will actually summon out your copy of... You can summon out Despoto 1 and go Rorodon combo, which is an option. But at this point, I would probably just summon out the other Shaman that I have in the deck because she's a winged beast. And then you can link away both of these to go into your copy of your Smorg. And then you can pass against your opponent. Once you pass against your opponent, you've got the best combo setup possible because you have your Infinite Negate combo as well, because once you pass, you're just going to throw out a copy of the Mist Valley Apex Avian to your side of the field, and then you pretty much win because they can't do anything against this. It's very hard to out this play because this card lets you, once per chain, when any card effect is activated, you get to target a Mist Valley you control, return it to the hand, which will be the Thunderbird that you'll return to hand. It's kind of the same thing that you used to do with Union Carrier before it got put to 0, but you'll bounce this card to your hand, it'll go back, and then you put it back on your side of the field because it instantly special summons itself back out. So you have the 2-bird combo, which is kind of cool. So you basically just special summon both of these to your side of the field, which is kind of neat. So, and it's very easy to establish. Even with a not so great hand like we drew, you still got it on turn 3, which is not bad. If you could have gotten out any other card that was a tuner monster that could be special summoned, or a regular monster that could be special summoned, like an Unexpected Die or something like that, you could have really popped off. But again, it's kind of the luck of the draw with a deck like this, which just happens sometimes. So let's go ahead and see what we can do for the next test hand, because this deck, like I said, you can get some really interesting plays with this, especially if you can get the Mist Valley Apex Avian combo, or the Falcon plus Stormwinds combo is really cool with a Swords protecting it. It's kind of neat because then they can't get through it unless they have a board wipe, which is not all that rare, but it comes up every so often that they won't be able to do it. Like, not a lot of people are playing Dark Holes and Regekis in Lightning Storms right now, even though it's been reprinted. A lot of people just side it. So first game, you can just throw out that, and then second game, when they go in, you can just basically go for the Apex combo if you can. So you have some really interesting ways of going about this deck. So we're going to go ahead and draw for turn. We're going to draw our 5 cards, which is a Swords, Falcon, we've already got a good play, Condor, a copy of Reborn Tengu, and a Big Bang Shot. So this is a perfect hand. You can just normal summon out this card, activate the copy of the Swords, and pretty much pass. If you want to, you can actually bounce him to hand to put the copy of Condor in defense position if you want to, unless you just want to set the copy of Tengu, which is another option for you guys. I would probably just set the copy of Tengu face down, because if they get through this, then you're going to just start rolling your Tengus over and over again, because whenever they're removed from the field, you're going to be able to replace them, which is kind of neat. So we're going to go ahead and just say that they don't get through this, and we get to keep our copy of our Tengu. So we're going to go ahead and draw for turn, and when we draw for turn, we're going to do a copy of Shaman, flip this face up, and then now you have a little bit of a decision to make. Do you want to go ahead and normal summon out the copy of Falcon and start swinging with the Big Bang Shot? It depends on the field. If you want to, you can just normal summon this card out to your field, activate the copy of Big Bang Shot and on an opponent's monster, and then swing, bounce this back, remove a monster from play, and then go in with the copy of the Falcon because it will get to replay the attack, and then you will swing with the copy of Reborn Tengu. This will only be at 1, so the next turn, if you want to, you can bounce it when it goes to 2. You'll get it back to your hand and bounce it so it'll be infinite. As long as you keep it below 3 and destroying itself, you'll be able to keep going, which is kind of neat. So that's pretty much for the first way that you can go about this hand. But if you want to go about it a little bit differently and you don't want to actually summon the copy of Falcon, you can actually do this and summon out your copy of Shaman and then use both of these on your side of the field to special summon out, again, the Needle Fiber. If you want to special summon out the Needle Fiber this way, you'll go for Needle Fiber. And then I'm going to go a different route for you guys this time to show the Auroradon combo in the deck that will get you negates as well. It's okay. It's not the best way to go about it. I like going for the Smorg way, but it's another option for you guys if for some reason your Apex Avian gets banished or you don't have a way to go for Smorg because you don't have a Winged Beast, which comes up every so often. So let's go ahead and see that particular combo. So we're going to go ahead and special summon out the copy of Despot 01, which you guys are familiar with, like Kara Curries or playing with like scrap decks. Like this is very traditional for those kind of decks, or even Despots. When I built Despots, this is very easy. So you're then going to go ahead and link both of these away to the graveyard, and you will actually summon out a copy of Mecha Phantom Beast Auroradon. Now, Auroradon's effect is that it gives you 3 tokens on your side of the field that are all level 3 Mecha Phantom Beast tokens. Now, once they're all special summoned at the same time, your copy of your Despot 01 will special summon itself back to your side of the field. You then immediately synchro these 2 away, which is a 3 plus a 1, which is 4. We're going to get to special summon out from the extra deck a 4, which is the copy of the Herald of the Arclight to our side of the field to give us a negation. And then you can go ahead and use the copy of your Mecha Phantom Beast Auroradon's effect to be able to tribute both of these tokens on your side of the field to be able to special summon from the deck a copy of a Mecha Phantom Beast monster, which is going to be your copy of your Colt Wing. So Colt Wing will come to the field, and Colt Wing's effect goes off to give you 2 tokens since you control another Mecha Phantom Beast monster. It'll summon out these 2 copies of these 2 tokens, which will go off with your copy of your Despot 01 again, to then special summon itself back. Now you have a little bit of decision making. Do you want to go for a couple of different plays? You can go 3, 4, 1, which equals 8, or you can go 1, 3, 7, which is our 1, 3, 3 for a 7. Or you can go for an 11. I don't play any 11s in this deck, but if there's a level 11 synchro monster you want to go for, like a Star Eater, you can actually use these because this is counted as a level 10 right now because you have 2 tokens, because 3 plus 3 is 6 plus 4 is 10. So this card is currently sitting at level 10. So we're going to go ahead and do what I like to do, especially when you have a field like this. You can actually go ahead and synchro all of these away to the graveyard. And then once you do, you can actually summon out your copy of your Mist Valley Thunderlord. So Mist Valley Thunderlord is kind of neat in this particular scenario. But you guys might be thinking, wait, how? Well, this card is sitting currently at 1, right? Well, this card is basically your copy of your Falcon, but a little bit better, because it has the ability that once per turn, you can select a card you control, return it to the, or actually you can't go for this because it actually has to require Mist Valley. So you're actually going to go for your copy of your Dawn Dragster, because this card actually requires Mist Valley cards. I thought it was generic, but it's not, excuse me. So you can actually go for Dawn Dragster, because Dawn Dragster will give you a little bit more negations, which is totally fine, just to go for this card instead, to just give you additional negates. Now, this card will actually come to 7 out on the field, and then it will give you negative spells and traps, which is kind of neat to go in for some additional plays. But you still have next turn if you want to. That's when you will normal summon out the copy of the Falcon and activate Big Bang Shot, swing, and then bounce this card back. But if you do have on the field the copy of Big Bang Shot and Swords, you can actually use this card if you can synchro with a Mist Valley monster, like a copy of another Falcon. It's a little bit hard to go into, which is why I just play 1. But this card lets you bounce a card to your hand, and then it gains 500 attack until the end phase. And this effect can be applied during either player's turn. So you can actually bounce this during your opponent's end phase to give it 500. So you can get both bounces, which is what I was kind of going for, but you can't because it requires Mist Valleys. Which not even Mist Condor, for some reason, isn't a Mist Valley monster. It's actually just Mist monster. So let's go ahead and see what we can do for one more test hand, because this deck is a super interesting deck. And I'm really excited that Gloomba actually asked for this, because this is an old school, like really, really old school deck. Like, and see, it's always at the top. Do you see that? It's always at the top. I don't know why, but it's always just right out of reach when you need it. So let's go ahead and see what we can do for one more test hand. Let's see. Let's shuffle it up really quick and see what we can do. Move our dice up here, clean up the extra deck, you know, do a little tidying around real quick. So let's go ahead and see what we can do. We're going to go ahead and shuffle up the deck and see what we can do. So we're going to go ahead and draw, which we're going to draw into a copy of Doodle Doo, one copy of Shaman, Apex Avian, which you don't really usually draw into Apex Avian, Phantom Griffin, and a copy of Mist Condor. So this is not that bad for this field. So you can actually just go ahead and special summon to your side of the field the copy of the Doodle Doo to your side of the field. And then once you summon it to your side of the field, it becomes basically, I think it becomes a level 3. Because if there is no monsters on the field, you can special summon this card from your hand, but it becomes level 3. Yeah, it becomes a level 4 if your opponent controls a monster and you control no cards. You can special summon this card as a level 4, which helps you go into cards like your Lightning Chidori. I just couldn't remember which one was 3 and which one was 4. But it becomes level 3 when neither player has any cards, but if your opponent has a card, then it becomes level 4. So at that point, you could actually just normal summon out your copy of Condor and then link these away for a copy of your Needle Fiber. So Needle Fiber, again, will come out. It's the big play of this deck that you're trying to do. Needle Fiber effect, summon out the Shaman from the deck, go for some simple plays, just special summon out that copy of Shaman from the deck, or you can summon out the copy of Despot 01. It's kind of up to you which way you go, but since she's a wing beast, it's really easily done where you can actually just go for the copy of your Smorg, because Smorg just requires a wing beast monsters, 2 monsters, including a wing beast. Which is kind of cool. And then you just go here, link it into the copy of the Smorg link, and then pass against your opponent. When your opponent passes, or when you pass to the opponent, you'll actually get to special summon out the copy of the Barrier Statue of Stormwinds. It's a little bit better if you have the swords. I know that's kind of weird to say, and you know, that, hey, swords is good, but it's actually pretty good in this deck. Like, I really like the way that it works, that you pretty much can give yourself infinite negates. You can give yourself infinite, like, you can give yourself infinite negates. You can give yourself infinite, like not being able to be attacked. Like, it's really interesting the way this deck can go into some plays. So at that point, if your opponent can't out the board, you're going to draw for turn. Unexpected die, not really good in this scenario. Basically at this point, you're just going to start swing. Oh yeah, I forgot. During your opponent's end phase, that will actually go off and let you special summon a wing beast. I believe it's from the deck. I'm not sure if it actually can be from the hand. I can't remember. During the end phase, you can special summon a wing beast monster in your hand or deck. Okay, so you can actually special summon the Apex Avian against your opponent if you don't have anything in back row, and they don't either. So you can actually summon out the Apex Avian, and then now you would actually draw for turn, which we're going to give it a good shuffle. And then we're going to draw for turn, which is a Thunderbird. And then you can normal summon out Thunderbird. And then you have infinite negates, which is really cool. Now, the only way that this field could be any better is if you actually, like, played in with a copy of Swords Revealing Light. Because now they can't attack the copy of the Stormwinds, and you have infinite negations to protect the swords. And then the only way that you could make it even better is if you had a copy of, where is it? A copy of Falcon, wherever Falcon is. Because then when you attack, you can bounce the swords back, and you will constantly be getting infinite negates, because this will be bouncing back off the Apex Avian. The copy of Falcon can bounce back your copy of your swords over and over again. And then this is making your opponent where they can't special summon anything but wind, and all we summoned was wind, which is kind of neat. And then this card's constantly generating you monsters, which is just hilarious, that are wind. So I think that's going to do it for this test hand, guys. I hope it did it for you for Gloomba, because this deck is super cool. I really like the way that the deck turned out. It's a really awesome deck. Like, it's really neat that for Mist Valley having so few cards, like how crazy some of the cards actually are in the entire archetype. Like, just these two almost like destroyed the meta. Like, really, like this card just comes out of the brickwork every so often and just tears up a whole format. And then these two comboed together are single-handedly what I still think to this day is the reason that Union Carrier got hit on the list. And it was the reason I wanted it to get hit on the list, was because of these two cards. If Union Carrier was around, this deck would be so much crazier, but as it stands, it's still pretty crazy. So I think that's going to do it for this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell on there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely give Gloomba some love down in the comments down below for this particular deck, because it is an absolute blast to play. And we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.